All right, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am Is There No One Else, and I am providing a build video or guide for my Magicka Nightblade for the Build-Elsweyr patch. I've been playing Magicka Nightblade a little over a week now. I've been enjoying it quite a bit. I posted a couple clips on it. It's just fun. Like, the burst combo's there, the survivability's there. And I want to go through the survivability on the Magicka Nightblade class because it's a little bit different than other classes. And so that's going to basically adjust like what you run, in my opinion. So I'm going to go through the gear, I'm going to go through the consumables and all that I've been running, and then I'm going to provide alternatives for different people, for different, if you don't like to run those specific things. In my opinion, this build is actually very race specific, and so if you're a different race than what I am, you will probably benefit from running other sets or other monster sets or other food. And so I'll get to that one when I get to it, and we'll just talk about it as we approach it. So I am currently a Dark Elf. I've always been a Dark Elf on my Magicka Nightblade because I like to gank. Back in the day when it used to do fire damage, I used to do like 20 to 25k heavy attack gank builds. It was a lot of fun. Never adjusted it because, honestly, Dark Elf is not bad for a Magicka Nightblade. It's only slightly less damage than the High Elf. Then you get max stam as well, so it's not bad. I do think for this specific build, High Elf is best in slot, and because of the stam sustain you get while activating a class ability. Like that sustain, that ability to CC break is just so powerful on a High Elf. Because we don't have that same type of sustain and we have bulk stats, we do sustain decently well, but we're going to build a little bit more into that stat pool than a High Elf would have to, and because of that, like some of our sets are going to adjust a little bit. So let's dive into it. The first set we're running, guys, is 5-piece Crafty Elfique. This came out in the Elsewhere patch. It is a very powerful set. A lot of max Magicka. It's basically 5-piece Magicka Hulking Draugr. So 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, and then 2,500 Magicka. Very strong set. We are also running 5-piece Necropotence. So the 3 jewelry and the 2 body pieces. This is a 5 light, 1 medium, 1 heavy setup. We are running 1 spell damage with 2 recovery. The only reason I'm running recovery on this build, guys, is because sometimes when I run in duos and trios, I like to be able to drop a healing ward for one of my buddies. And those bigger fights, you need that little bit of sustain. When I played solo, I did okay. I did more than fine with just all spell damage, but that's just going to come down to preferences, what you prefer to have. But this is my sweet spot for running in small groups and also in solo. I have no problem hitting hard with this build. I'll still hit 20k plus mercilesses, which is more than fine for killing people. But yeah, if you want to hit really hard, go spell damage here. And the reason we're running this, guys, is it procs off our Shadow Image. Our Shadow Image gives us our kite ability. It also gives us Minor Maim, which is 15% damage reduction on whatever it's attacking, and it gives us a ton of max Magicka. Magicka Nightblade, more than any other class in the game, really benefits from running max Magicka sets. And so you can get 8% max Magicka off of running the toggle on a Sork. You can run the other version of Permafrost for a Warden and get 8% max Magicka. With a Nightblade, you just have to slot a Siphoner ability. And so if you use Swallow Soul or Siphoning attacks, which we are, and you have them on both bars, you get 8% max Magicka. And so 8% of a lot of max Magicka, since we're running Elfique and Necropotence, I found to just be a better combination than running other like recovery sets. You can build in, you don't really need recovery as it is, so we're just going to go all damage. And this leads to bigger wards. This also leads to more burst, and because we have just such a huge Magicka pool, our sustain is really good despite not having a ton of recovery. So that's the way that I went. Pretty common. You're going to see a lot of Nightblades running this combination. As far as the monster set goes, guys, there are 3 that I like as a Dark Elf. If it's not super laggy, and if you're fighting smaller amounts of groups, and like you can weapon swap and go through your rotations really well, I like 1-piece Infernal Guardian and 1-piece Domi House the most. And that's because we get an extra little bit of stam with the Domi House, and we get more max Magicka, which boosts our overall stats. This does not hit as hard as Slime Crawl. Slime Crawl will actually give you a little bit more damage, but as a Dark Elf, I value that extra little bit of stam over the extra little bit of damage of Slime Craw. So that's just my personal preference. It's because of my character's racial disparate differences of not being a high elf. I think that's a little bit better. If you're fighting bigger groups, the other two that I would consider running are Pirate Skeleton and Bloodspawn. Bloodspawn's great for the damage mitigation as well as the ulti-gen. You just really rattle off Soul Harvest running Bloodspawn. You're very tanky. That's also a good set. And then obviously, you can never go wrong running Pirate Skeleton on a Magicka class. Like, the Pirate Skeleton will make you the most tanky. It'll give you the most survivability. I don't think you necessarily need Pirate Skeleton, to be honest. It depends on how much you're fighting. It's like, if you're solo, like, if you're going to try and, like, you know, be a Zdan and, like, 1v10, 1v12, a bunch of players, like, Pirate Skeleton is what you're going to need. But if you're running across 4, 5, 6 players, you know, maybe slap on Bloodspawn. If you're running across 3, 4, 5 players and, like, the lag isn't too bad, I really think Dome House and Infernal Guardian's the way to go. Running in a duo, this is what I would prefer as well, because you just want that extra ability to crack. And, you know, if the other person can take a little bit of pressure off of you, that allows you to dish out more damage. And I think this is just what I like. And so it really comes down to lag. Like, if it's super laggy, I just throw on Pirate Skeleton and I go to town. Like, it's so hard to play Magicka Nightblade this patch. Magicka Nightblade and Sork. When it's super laggy, because you really need to be able to weapon swap, animation cancel, and do all these things. And if you can't do that, then your rotation's bad, and then your burst combo's bad, and you're not killing people, and then you're stacking wards, and if your wards aren't going off, then you're dying, and so having the damage mitigation comes in handy. So, yeah. So that's just my personal preference, but yeah, that's what I would do. 2 Prismatics, all max Magicka, and then I have a Defending Resto Staff with a weapon spell damage enchant on the back bar. I have a Sharpened with a shock damage enchant on the front bar to give us the minor vulnerability potential with Necropotence. As far as our consumables go, we are running Double Bloody Mara. This gives us our big health pool and it gives us a lot of max Magicka. Because we are a Dark Elf, and because we do get a lot of max stam, we can run almost 15,000 stamina with this build without building into Tri-Stat Food, without running the Tri-Stat Food here. And it also this just gives us more than melon baked Parmesan pork. So you see this blue food, $53.95 and $49.36. That's fine, but we get more here. So it's not a whole lot more, but it's more. And I think it's just a better way to go. If you're a Dark Elf, if you're a High Elf, I still think this is the way to go. If you're a Breton, probably run Tri-Stat Food because I think you're going to want. You don't get the stam sustain. I think if you're a Breton, you run 3 spell damage. Or 2 spell damage, and then you run Tri-Stat Food to get your stamina where you need it. So that's probably the route I would go. Yeah, and then as far as consumables go, we're in the consumables. Essence Detect Pots, you need these for those Nightblades that cloak away so you can still hit them with your Merciless. You want this. Tri-Stats are very nice for long, sustained fights. Immovable Pots are nice. Also, I go back and forth between all these, and then ideally, you want to run Spell Power Pots. Major Sorcery, Major Prophecy, and Max Magicka. So if you're fighting 3 or 4 people, 5 people, and you can really get your combinations off, Spell Power Pots are the way to go. If you're getting Zerged down and you need to escape, I run Tripots. If you're fighting 3 or 4 people that are coordinating well and you need to have that time to get your burst off, I switch to my Move Pots. So just preference as to what you want there. I think those are all very valuable. What else? That's it for the gear. As far as the skills go, guys, on our back bar, I'm running Soul Tether. Now, you can run Undo here if you're in top, like, open world PvP. You do not need Undo on this bar for the 8% damage mitigation. We're already getting it. It's just whether or not you want the ult to go backwards in time and, like, juke a bunch of people. So I think the 2 best ults here are Soul Tether and Resto Ult. And the reason I have it here, guys, and I know I'm going to get questions about this, like, why not Resto Ult? Magicka Nightblade really benefits. It's similar to this patch, in my opinion, to Magicka DK in that when you're on the offensive, you're doing better off with your healing, with your survivability. And so I was running Resto Ult, and Resto Ult allowed me to survive. However, like, I still had like 5, 6, 7 people on me. Soul Tether allows me to hit those people, and not only does it heal me up and kind of make me almost invincible for 8 seconds because I'm getting the health back from it, but it also does damage. And so I can wait until I proc my Merciless, hit a Soul Tether, and if somebody's squishy on top of me, which more than likely somebody is, I do that, and then I hit him with my Merciless, I two-shot somebody, and now not only have I healed myself back to full, but I've eliminated somebody from the fight. And so yes, this is on my resto bar. And so we'll proc our Necropotence, and we'll look at this. But, I mean, we have an 18,000 Soul Tether on our back bar. Like when we hit with our light attack and we proc our enchant, we have an 18,000 Soul Tether. So, obviously it's not ideal for burst damage, but this is our survivability ult. So I prefer it this way. If you want to run resto ult, that's fine too. I totally get it. But yeah, that's what I like. Siphoning attacks. This is going to give us a lot of sustain. Just a very powerful sustain skill. It's why we can, minimize the amount of recovery that we're running, because siphoning attacks is so powerful. Shadow Image. This is going to proc our Necropotence. This is going to be our survivability skill. Harness Magicka. This is going to be our #1 shield. This is going to be 10.7k damage shield in PvP or so. Race Against Time. This is our snare removal, major expedition, and minor force. I've talked about it multiple times. This is the most powerful skill in the game right now. Like it's almost a must-have across the board on every single class. That's how powerful this skill is. So not only are you burstier, that is definitely a word that I'm now going to use. You're burstier, you're faster, and you hit harder, and you have snare removal. So very powerful. I know people are going to ask, and this is going to come down to preference once again. Where's it at? Where is it? I'm sorry, I'm having a brain fart here, guys. My bad. So you can also look at Blur, and so you can look at Phantasmal Escape, and that gives you snare immunity as well. But if you look at the cost, it's 3402 for Phantasmal Escape. It's 2633 for Race Against Time. Race Against Time is cheaper. You do get 4 seconds of immunity with Phantasmal Escape, which is nice, and you get 25% damage mitigation. In my opinion, I do think that Race Against Time is better because of the cost, the movement speed, and the minor force. And so I can move fast away from my Shadow Image and then go back to my Shadow Image, and that just allows me to survive a little bit better. But if you guys want to run Phantasmal Escape because you want that AoE damage mitigation, totally get it. It's also powerful. We're also running Healing Ward. This is going to give us our heal. It's another shield on our bar as well, which is very powerful. On our front bar, we're running Ellie Drain. This is going to give us 600 Magicka recovery. While it's slotted, every second when we're attacking somebody, we're going to be proccing Magicka. This combined with siphoning attacks is going to give us a shit ton of sustain, and it's, reducing their armor, and so we're going to be hitting harder with it as well. Merciless Resolve. This is our burst combination. This hits hard as shit. As you guys can see, it's 2237 unbuffed. If we proc our enchant or our pot, and we have our Shadow Image up for Necropotence, you see we jump to 25k. So we have a 25k Merciless, especially after our light attack, it goes over 25k. We're going to use this with our Soul Harvest to just burst people down. The highest I've hit somebody is a 25k so far. I think I can hit higher, but we'll see. Dark Cloak. I run Dark Cloak for open world PvP for a few reasons. Once again, it's damage mitigation, and it's a solid heal. This is going to be a 2k heal every second in PvP. That's what the tooltip says. And on top of it, you gain minor protection, reducing your damage taken by 8%. Now, the reason I have it on the front bar, guys, is because you have to have Healing Ward on your back bar. Harness, I think, is better on your back bar. You need to have a siphoning attack skill on your back bar, or siphoning skill. And then Shadow Image, I like to coincide with Race Against Time. What I found is when I tried to put it on my back bar and then Race Against Time on my front bar, it felt very clunky to stack a ward, weapon swap, use Race Against Time, when you're getting Zerg down. I just found it was a lot easier to literally put my wards on and then when I go on the offensive, I can just quick pop this button, and now my shields are tanky because it lasts for 8 seconds. It's 8 seconds of a heal. And so I can go back, I can stack my wards, then I can go on my front bar, and I can stack my heal. that's just my preference. You know, it's up to you. On the clips, I did have Inner Light here to hit harder, you know, increase the max magicka, but for survivability, solo in a group, Dark Cloak is just better, just the way it is. Mass Hysteria, this is going to be our CC, Swallow Soul, and Soul Harvest. So our Soul Harvest, you know, pretty good tooltip. Like I said, you know, we'll proc it up again for you guys. Pop a pot. We're at 19.4 for Soul Harvest, so with our light attack enchant, we're going to be at 20,000. So 20,000 plus 25,000. On top of that, we do 20% more damage for 6 seconds, and so our 25k tooltip, Merciless, goes up to what is that? 30k. So if we hit with a Soul Harvest and then we hit with our Merciless is going to hit 30% harder. On top of that, we do Major Defile with Soul Harvest, reducing their damage, and if we kill somebody in this front bar, we gain 10 ultimate. So it's just a great skill on the front bar. This is the best single target ult you can run, in my opinion, and so that's why we're not running Tether on the front bar, because the Soul Harvest is just so nice for like, even if they're like 30k health Magplars, we're just going to chunk out their health so hard that we put them on the defensive with our Defile, and then they have to heal, and it's just one of those things where we can really drain resources when we combine this combination very well. And so that's kind of the name of the game here. And so that's why I prefer it. As far as our champion points go, guys, we have 56 in a Warlord, 22 in a Siphoner, 43 Tenacity, 64 in an Arcanist. You could take some out of here. I threw 15 into Mooncalf for a little bit more stam recovery. Probably put a few more into there if you wanted. 19 into Befoul. I think you could... It's okay. It doesn't scale as well, and so that's why I only threw a few points in there. 51 into Tumbling. We do occasionally dodge roll, like, you know, you want to get out of the Clobber Monster, you want to get out of a Negate. It does come in handy to have points in a Tumbling. 61 Elfborn, 64 LA Expert, 64 into Spell Erosion, 81 into Master at Arms. We're not running any damage over time effects. We are all direct damage, and so we're boosting that as much as possible. So that's why we're stacked that way. 72 Ironclad, 52 into Resistant, 37 Hardy, 37 LA Defender, 28 into Thick Skin, and 44 into Bastion. So 44 into Bastion with my Necropotence allows me to get my shields to where I want to get them. Like I talked about in the video that I posted yesterday, in PvP it allows me to, and so I will have about a 10.7k Harness Magicka, and then I put all my points in my CP tree into damage mitigation. And so I'm not running resistances on this build, and you'll see that, and I'll explain why it's still effective. But, you know, you throw 72 in Ironclad and you reduce your damage against direct attacks by 23%. So it makes your shields tankier against direct attacks, which are also typically the most bursty. So when we look at our character sheet, guys, these are our stats on our front bar. 55k Magicka, 20k health, 21k. We're at around 27k health in PvP. We're at 15k stam and 1200 Magicka recovery with 1700 spell damage and 32% spell crit. When we pop our pot, we're at 43% crit, 2100 spell damage. That jumps up to about 2500, but the name of the game, guys, is the max Magicka. We hit hard as shit with this build because we have 59,000 Magicka. I know you guys saw my screenshot when I was running 62. That's because I was running Inner Light, and I think in 1v1s, like, that's the way to go. And so you can absolutely survive. I mean, you guys saw the clip, but you can absolutely survive with Inner Light on your front bar, you know, outnumbered. That's without Necropotence. And so, yeah, 61.9 with this, with 1400 Magicka recovery. You hit hard as hell. If you threw Meteor on here, you get up to like 63. If you took off your Tri-Stat enchants, you'd get up to like 64, 65. So, yeah, a lot of max Magicka. We hit really hard. It's fun stuff. 3k critical resistance, and the spell resistance and physical resistance are basically non-existent on this build. And so 64 points into Magicka. I am a stage 1 vampire. I do not think vampire is the way to go. I'm running Double Bloody Mara to reduce it to basically nothing. I'm not getting any recovery. I'm not getting anything from it. So yeah, I would get rid of it. However, I also play a bomber. I like to gank. So I'm going to keep the vampirism on here for now, just because. And then we are running the Mage Mundus. And go back here. Try and explain things as well as possible here for you guys. So yeah, so basically like we hit hard. You know, we have huge ward sizes, and so people are going to ask like, you know, how are you tanky with this build? You know, like how can you survive with this little resistances? And the reasoning is because of the changes. Nightblades have a lot of built-in damage mitigation, and so when you look at our skills, Nightblade skills, we take 3% less damage for every proc a Merciless. So that goes up to 15% damage mitigation. So while we're on the offensive and we're using our light attacks, we're just stacking damage mitigation. And so when these are fully procced and you haven't hit your Merciless, you have 15% damage mitigation here. When you have your Shadow Image out, this is minor main. This is another 15%. And so you have 30% there. When you use Dark Cloak, you have 8% damage mitigation. So that's 38%. So just built into the Nightblade toolkit, you have 38% damage mitigation up to. So roughly you're going to be around 30% the whole time, which is major protection. That's what Pirate Skeleton does for us. And so you're very tanky just by having all these damage mitigation skills. And on top of that, you know, because we have such big wards, we have a 10k damage shield, we have 27k health, you know, it's tough to actually get through our wards because of the points we have in our CP tree, like our direct damage attacks and all of that. And so I've actually found that I'm very tanky just by running these things. But, you know, if you wanted more, you know, if you want more damage mitigation, like I said, like if this isn't enough for you, you can just quick throw on Pirate Skeleton. And yes, you know, your resistances aren't super high, but you're going to have 60% plus damage mitigation. And so what capped resistances do is they basically mitigate about 50% of the incoming damage that you have. Like if you're at the cap, you know, after their pen and everything, it mitigates about 50% of the damage. And then after that, your damage mitigation skills come into play. And so because we have so much damage mitigation, we don't really need to run resistances. And besides, like every Magicka class in the game is running 20k pen. And so to realistically have resistances that mean something, we have to have over 20k. And so even Nightblades, you know, or Stam classes are running 15 to 20k pen as well. So I just prefer to opt into damage mitigation because you cannot penetrate damage mitigation. So you'll just be this tanky all the time. And this is just something you can get away with on a Nightblade. Like I said, like if you go watch my clips, this is exactly what I was running, except with inner light on my front bar. And these are the resistances I had, and it really wasn't much of an issue even fighting outnumbered. So but like I said, like if you guys don't like it, if it's laggy, if you're fighting severely outnumbered, you know, this is what our stats look like with Pirate Skeleton on. Like we're very tanky. And we have 56k Magicka. We're still going to hit hard as shit with this build, just not as hard as the Domi House and Alhambras. Gosh, is there anything else? So went through the food. Like I said, High Elf I think is the best because of the Stam sustain. Dark Elf I think is second best. Argonian is up there, but you know, Breton is more than fine. I would just use Tri-Stat food instead. Your max stats aren't going to be as high, but you're going to have a lot more spell damage because you can build into spell damage on a Breton. So, yeah. If I didn't explain anything, guys, please provide, you know, any questions that you have in the section below. I'll do my best to answer it like I always do. Hopefully, I did this build some justice for why I'm running the way I'm running it. If I didn't, like I said, please ask me questions. So, thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day. Alright guys, I got a couple clips for you. The first two clips are going to be with the build that I posted I like the most. When I came out here, there was a bunch of reds fighting outside of Cholman. We get a little help there, we get 2 quick kills. And so literally I just dropped my Shadow Image, and now I'm just light attacks while souling. I hit that guy with 11k Merciless. I tried to get him on the siege. I didn't know what his health was, but I was hoping for the quick one-shot. Now we have a pretty bursty Magblade attacking us, so we're just going to stay back, keep our buffs up. You see I put my Dark Cloak on for the quick heal over time. I'm going to drop my Shadow Image down here, get my Race Against Time, going for this guy with a Soul Harvest, get another quick kill, and now we have a Sork here, and we have another Magicka Nightblade, so I'm going to buff up. Got a Meteor dropping on me. I was CC'd, so I tried to block, but I accidentally hit dodge roll. Didn't matter. just cycling my shields, cycling my heals, and you know, with a few people attacking me with this type of build, like I said, like if it's not super laggy, you're not squishy. And then the damage is just so much fun. You'll see that here, we get one quick kill. And so now we have like 4 kills with the assist of Siege. And blues are starting to get a little brave now that people are dropping over dead. And so they're going to start hopping off the keep, but hopefully not before we get a couple more kills. So I hit this guy with a 18k Merciless right as his shields pop down. If I hit him with the full burst combo, he's probably going to drop over dead. And so we're just going to once again keep our shields up, light attack, swallow soul, light attack, buff up with our Merciless, keep our Ellie drain on, keep our shields up. I think it was about a 7k swallow soul there. He gets hit with a fossilize. We hit him with a 14k soul harvest. And now we have a Magicka Nightblade here with a couple blues coming out of stealth. And so he was attacking us, so we're going to just focus him. I go to drop my shadow image. I already had one up, so I just go back to it. Cycle my buffs again, find another Magicka Nightblade in the back, buff up again with siphoning, buff up again with our Merciless. Just light attack swallow souls. Now we're going to fear. And with a soul harvest, he gets hit by a bunch of people. And the fight's over. So now we just have one person left. We got a bunch of blues going after him. We're gonna hit a few combinations, but you know, it's one person. The blues should have him. There's no point. I don't like chasing people down at that point, even though it's a group fight. This next fight, guys, literally this is just me trolling. I love to do really cheesy shadow image shit just to piss people off and like split up a group. Me and one of the guys here, we're fighting the tower, and there's just reds all over the place. And so you're going to see him go down, and it's just me that's left. And this is the same build. I'm running one Domi House, and I'm running one Engine Guard, or a Land Burst in this build. And with 2 people, I'm fine. I can sustain just fine. But with that guy going down, you'll all of a sudden see, like, there's just people on multiple levels heading towards us. And so all we're going to do is we're going to keep our buffs up and use our race against time. I get stuck against the wall and on the stairs there because, you know, I suck. That was just me being bad. There's 3 more people down there killing ads. There's 2 more people up here. And so all I'm going to do at this point is just troll with the shadow image. And so I want to kind of show this clip, you guys, just to... Shadow image is a huge part of this playstyle. You know, it's a huge part of splitting people up and then getting your burst. And so I'm going to go off this side here, and the shadow is back. I got 4 people chasing us, and now I just split up the group, go back the way I came, and now I'm going to go down the stairs, and I'm going to try and pick my buddy up. Now, I'm not really trying to kill anybody at this point. I'm just literally trying to do shadow images because it's funny. And so drop my wards here, shadow image back, and I still have a few people here. And so I'm just light attack, siphoning, dark cloak, wards, race against time, siphoning, and now I got 2 people here. They're going to drop the meteor. I'm going to drop my shields, and you see here I go to pop a ward, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't go off there, and so I take a bunch of damage. So I have to pop a restowal, which is just a pain in the ass. Once again, like that's part of the reason why I think you need to run Pirate Skeleton when it's laggy. Because yeah, like I took a bunch of unnecessary damage there when I should have been able to get away with it. A blue comes in. I get the revive. I jump off the wall here. And he gets Zerg down basically right away, and so we're just gonna keep cycling, try and get back to the tower. He dies once again. I go for the in-cap soul harvest. I hit my 11k in-cap. I missed the soul harvest, and now I'm getting chased down by 5 people. I try to stack my shields. It doesn't work. And finally, this final fight is just showing how tanky this build is with Pirate Skeleton. He's fighting this guy one-on-one, and he just gets ganked by a blue. Which is pretty filthy, and there was just a bunch of reds and a bunch of yellows in this district, and so just kind of want to show like how tanky you are without resistances with just the damage mitigation of what a Nightblade is. So buddy's dead here, so I'm gonna go over here and pick him up. The yellow's playing solo. You know, when there's that many reds, you just kind of focus the bigger group instead of have our little fights and get steamrolled. So he was being cool, so we're gonna be cool as well. And then we're going to head back to the flag. And so, just going to buff up here, drop my shadow image just in case I get jumped on. I have a way to escape. Shadow image is amazing in the sewers. And yeah, so this red group's actually pretty solid. They got some good players. It's going to be tough to kill any of them. There's a Magplar in here, there's a Pet Stork. Like, they got a lot of healing. We really have to focus our burst. And so you'll see we have a couple opportunities, and I messed it up. I'm not gonna lie, I messed it up. So trying to pull them away from the flag. We can't deal with the ads with all these reds. The reds are focusing that yellow over there. So now I have one guy jump on me, cycle my buffs, hit him with LE Drain, draw my Shadow Image once again, keep my heals up, and you see all of a sudden now the reds are coming out after us. So we got 3 coming here, there's 1 behind us, and so now we're going to back up into this room and just try and like not have them surround us, you know, because we are tanky, but we're not going to face tank 5 good players like that. So we're going to use this line of sight. They're going to come in, I'm going to hit with my Soul Tether, and you see 2 guys drop down to really low health. Now, if I hit one of those guys with my Merciless instead of the guy with like 50k health, we probably would have gotten a quick kill there. Turned it into a 4-on-2, made it a lot more manageable, but I didn't. I missed. So now I'm just going to keep my wards, my Dark Cloak. I have about 5 or 6 people hitting me. So I'm just going to line of sight around this tower. Just keep my buffs up, and just, I'm getting Radiance Bandit and Steel Tornadoes. They're dropping dots on me. And you're just really tanky on a Nightblade with heals, with damage station, and everything. So I get them away from me a little bit. I'm going to go up here, drop my Shadow Image, keep my heals up. I'm going to fear them. I'm going to go downstairs, keep my wards up again, use Race Against Time, get around this corner. And literally I'm just trying to split them up to where I can do something I can manage. Shadow Image back upstairs because Shadow Image actually works in Imperial City, which is fantastic. My buddy came back. He came back to help. I dropped down, just poor communication on our part here. Hit that guy with the 6k Swallow Soul. He's going to drop down after me, so we're just going to kite around this corner once again, and I'm going to go in for this burst. So I go to hit this guy with the Soul Harvest. He dodges it, and then they immediately pop a healing ward. I take a Meteor, which I block. I get my Dark Cloak. I have another Meteor coming in. I block. I get my Harness. So now you just see, like, took 2 ults there, just buffing up, cycling. And so I'm just going to go back to my little room here, try and narrow some people down. And just the same thing, guys, like I'm cycling heals. That's literally all I can do right now. They're just putting out a lot of pressure, and so I'm just trying to stay alive until, you know, my buddy shows up. So now we get a little 2v2, and so we're trying to figure out who we're going to focus. We have a Sork here, and we have a healer. Now all of a sudden another Sork comes to the back, and so we're just going to kite upstairs to not, like I said, we don't want to be hit from all different sides. Drop a healing ward for my buddy there, drop another one, drop a Shadow Image, he's getting hit with Dark Cloak. So I go in here, go hit this guy with an Incap, go hit him with a Spectral, and I drop him down to 11k health. He heals back up to full. We needed to get a double combo to take him out. He's just, Pet Sorks are just really tanky, and he's also a good one, so we got to be careful. We do have a bad Pet Sork in the back here, but my buddy goes down because they focused him. So now I'm going to do Race Against Time, plus Shadow Image, and drop another Meteor on me. I tried to block it, it didn't work, and so now I'm just going to buff up. Once again, just trying to be tanky, really fighting outnumbered here, trying to get my procs up, but, you know, in order to take out any one of these guys, I'm going to have to get my light attack proc, and I just had a light attack around the corner because I wanted to show the clip of survivability for you guys. So, they end up killing me in the end, so I went back in, they killed me. That's the way it goes sometimes, but I wanted to show you guys, like, you know, kind of how you survive, how you use Shadow Image, how you cycle your heals. So for me, using Dark Cloak on my front bar is a little bit better for survivability because it allows me to use my Race Against Time. Like if I go around a corner or if I'm topside and I come up over a hill and I see like 12 people and they're going to chase me down, I can then just stack wards and use Race Against Time and use my movement speed, and it's all on the same bar. The minute I start taking damage, I'll use my wards, I'll use Race Against Time, weapon swap, hit my Dark Cloak, and then go back to my wards. And so then that allows me to have 8 seconds of a heal while I'm cycling through my shields and my movement speed. Like I said, I try to use Dark Cloak on the back bar. I just... Race Against Time's snare removal is only 2 seconds. And so having it coincided with our with the shields, I felt to be a little bit better. So those are a few clips. If you guys want to see more clips, I posted them from a few days ago. I'll provide a link in the description below if you guys want to go back and see this build more or less in action with, you know, more kills and more damage. But I like to show clips that highlight not just damage but survivability and like how you go about doing it, because, you know, 1vx clips against potatoes don't give you the same knowledge that, you know, kiting and, you know, survivability and movement and like how to cycle through your wards do, as well as like just clips on how to dish out your damage. So that's just my opinion. If you guys don't like that and you guys want to just see the sexy clips, I'll do that from now on in the future. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.